welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live Manchester United news, transfer news, and update show. Are Manchester United secretly signing a midfielder this January? We're going to get into all the latest news on midfielders. Obviously, there's some more updates coming in Wilfred and Diddy, Loftus-Cheek. We'll talk about Hayden Hackney, James Garner. There's actually a report coming out today that James Garner might be signing a new contract. We've also got other updates. We'll talk about the latest on the likes of João Gomez and more in today's video. We'll have a whole conversation about the midfield situation. And interestingly, there's reports coming out today, and I'm 99% sure it's just kind of media guesswork and fake reports. But there are reports coming out today that Cole Palmer wants to return to Manchester. He's very unhappy. He'd be open to a move to Man United. Maybe it's being suggested there. They didn't say in the report he's open to a move to Man United, but they're basically saying he wants to move back north. He's not happy in London, is what's coming out on Cole Palmer. Now, I think that's probably fake news. I think it's the fact that Cole Palmer didn't celebrate his goal. He's had some injury issues. He's probably not happy with Maresca being sacked in the situation that Chelsea are in. I don't think that means Cole Palmer wants to come to Man United, because Ineos is just as big of a mess as Chelsea. I think media are just seeing that Cole Palmer doesn't look particularly happy, and maybe saying, oh, he wants to go back to Manchester, that's it. Look, if Bruno goes, Cole Palmer's the obvious replacement. There's rumours that Chelsea are looking to actually move him on and build around Esteban now. Cole Palmer now too old for Chelsea. They're annoyed with his groin issues. But there's also rumours around Cole Palmer to Manchester United. So it might be worth keeping an eye on that. But I do feel like it's probably media guesswork. We're going to talk about James Garner. Andy said, why would James Garner come here to probably sit on the bench when he can leave on a free in the summer and get a nice bonus and go to a club where he will actually start games? I think James Garner would start games for us. You know, I think our best midfield three is Casemiro, Meno, and Bruno, but James Garner as the third choice as the second choice midfield behind Casemiro is a significant upgrade on a guy. But from James Garner's perspective, you might say, I'll wait till the summer, not go to Man United in January, get a big bonus and see where he wants to go. Yeah, you could argue that. Gail says he just wants the Arsenal game now. I'm scared. Arsenal beat Inter 3-1 into a top of Serie A. Arsenal rested and rotated. Declan Rice, Odegaard rested. Beat Inter Milan with relative ease. Arsenal have not lost a game at the Emirates all season. We do not have a good record at the Emirates. When we play Arsenal at home, I always back us to get a result. We always have a way, even when we're crap and Arsenal are good, against Arsenal at home. I know we lost to Arsenal at home first game of the season, but we actually were all right in that game. We're always decent when we play Arsenal at home. We always have a way. When we play Arsenal away in the league, we're never great. Arsenal beat Bayern at the Emirates. Arsenal beat Atleti at the Emirates. Arsenal rested some players. I don't really want to play Arsenal. I'm worried. I'm scared. Especially now, Bodo Glimt beat City. Did anyone else see that? I didn't see it until after, because it was a 5:45 kickoff. So I didn't realise City were even playing. And then I checked my phone and they're 3-1 down. Oh, shit. But no, on a serious note, are City really shit? Were we really good, or just City really bad now? Because they went 3-1 down to Bodo Glimt. But hey, look, we're going to go for Arsenal. We're going to get top four regardless of Arsenal result. I love that. Do you know what? Our underlying numbers aren't that bad this season. They're actually better than Liverpool's underlying numbers, who are above us in the league. Liverpool also have done nothing in January. Liverpool are doing nothing in January. So I think top three is Villa, City, Arsenal. Boom. Unless something crazy happens, that's top three. Fourth is us, Chelsea, Liverpool. I wouldn't rule out Newcastle. But that's the race for fourth, I think. Liverpool are doing nothing in January. Leone is out to the end of the season. Bradley is out to the end of the season. João Gomez, who's injury prone and arguably not good enough, is their centre-back cover for an underperforming Canate, and their centre-back cover for Frimpong, their right-back cover for Frimpong, who's more of a right wing-back. So I do fancy us to maybe challenge Liverpool for fourth, because Liverpool have done nothing. Newcastle aren't doing anything. I think if Newcastle went and signed a quality winger, Newcastle will be up there. Newcastle doing nothing. Chelsea, it's between us and Chelsea. I think we look better versus Man City than Chelsea did versus Brentford, but Chelsea have a better team than us. Realistically, you'd expect Chelsea to finish fourth or fifth. You'd expect Liverpool and Chelsea to finish above us if you're looking at the teams they have on paper. They have a better team than us, but they have Champions League football. We have one game a week. We should be Thresher. That is our big advantage. Now, what Man United definitely need, I think everyone knows this, I don't think it's a secret, but we definitely need a midfielder. We definitely need a midfielder, and we're going to talk about that in a second. We're going to talk about the midfield news in a second, but I've got a message here, Arsenal fan here. That performance I've seen from United that's the best performance I've seen from United in ages. Bruno Fernandes was amazing in midfield. I do think we'll have too much of the Emirates, but you can definitely get fourth. Appreciate the super chat. I do worry. I think if it's at Old Trafford, I fancy us. But because it's at the Emirates, that's what makes me a bit scared. But yeah, Bruno was amazing. I thought we were amazing versus City. But I'm nervous. I think we can push Arsenal. If we lose to Arsenal, we put in a good performance, it's not the end of the world. But I'd love a result at the Emirates. Even a draw feels like a win. I'm more curious to see. I'm more curious is Fulham at home after Arsenal. Yeah, see how we set up in a game where we're expected to be a bit more dominant in possession. That's something we struggled with under Amro when we dominated possession. So we will talk about that. Have you seen actually reports have come out where we should have 2 more points, guys? We should actually have 2 more points. By the way. Do you know what? I'm going to show you something that's an absolute joke. So, the Referee Association has come out and they basically said that we unfairly ruled out Man United's goal versus Burnley. We should have 2 more points. Joke. Look at this. Lissandro Martinez's goal for Man United against Burnley earlier this month should not have been ruled out by referee Stuart Atwell, the Premier League key matches instance KMI panel has said. They literally say, yeah, we shouldn't have ruled that out. Absolutely pathetic. We don't get that goal ruled out. We beat Burnley. We should have beat Burnley. Darren Fletcher coached a win. We were fantastic versus Burnley. I just responded, it's a bit late now, innit? But it's just one of those annoying things because we get those 2 more points. We're on 37 points. 37 points has us in 4th. 37 points has us in 4th. 6 points off 3rd. You know, we win our next game, we'd go to 40 points. And if Villa and City didn't win the next game, they'd be 3 points ahead of us. You know what I mean? So we should have 2 more points. And do you know what annoys me more than anything is, look, refs are shocking. I think Mount's goal was onside. I generally believe Mount's goal was onside and that Burnley goal shouldn't have been ruled out. The Mount's goal doesn't really make a difference because we won the game. But do you know what annoys me? Is the teams in the Prem are not winning. Bar Arsenal and Villa are even starting to drop points. The teams in the Prem are not winning. Liverpool have got 4 draws in a row and they've still managed to stay in 4th. We had Wolves at home. We couldn't beat them. So that's 2 more points. If we beat Wolves at home, that's 2 more points. If VAR's on our side versus Burnley, we win that game under Fletcher, so that's 4 more points. If we could beat a West Ham at home, that's another 2 more points. So that's 6 more points. And if we could beat a 10-man Everton at home, that's 3 more points. That's 9 more points. If we had won those games, West Ham, Everton, Wolves and Burnley, 4 games you'd expect us to win, we'd have 9 more points. 9 more points would put us on 44 points. It put us 6 points off Arsenal. It put us in 2nd. Imagine that. Imagine going into this game with 44 points and saying if we beat Arsenal, we go 3 points behind them. We'd be sent title race. But we're not in the title race because we can't beat Wolves at home. We can't beat a 10-man Everton. We were 1-0 up to West Ham and Ruben Amorim went and did some cowardly substitutions. And Burnley wasn't Fletcher's fault. Burnley was VAR. It's just annoying. And then I look at games where we played all right, like Bournemouth, 2 points dropped. Villa, we played really well, didn't win. Arsenal, we played well, didn't win. You know, the Fulham game, we're in a winning position. I'm like, fine margins, hey? Fine margins. And that's what matters in this league, the fine margins. And it's frustrating because we could be much further up the league if we could actually beat the crap sides. But we can't seem to beat the crap sides this season. But it is very tight, isn't it? I mean, the Burnley one was a joke. It's annoying how we seem to win about 1 in every 3 games and never the one we expect. It is. The links are underwhelming, Alice. We're Manchester United, for God's sake. I agree. I think it might have been Goldbridge, actually, that tweeted something. Let me look at my likes. Yeah, Goldbridge tweeted this. Ndidi and Loftus-Cheek says everything about this club. Fans with the standards of Real Madrid, owners with the standards of Stoke. Yeah, and I think Goldbridge is spot on. You know, we need a midfielder, and these owners are looking at Loftus-Cheek and Ndidi. We're not Stoke. We're not stuck. Come on. Loftus-Cheek and Ndidi. We're going to talk about that. It's nuts. Amorim did more for Tottenham than he did for Man United. They won the Europa League. Tottenham are nuts in Europe. Tottenham are good in Europe. Just battered Dortmund. Tottenham in the Prem. Tottenham in Europe. Ooh. Tottenham are nuts in Europe this season, aren't they? They absolutely battered Dortmund, by the way. So Small margins can make a big difference this season. It can. I think we've underperformed our XG. Should I look at XG this season? XG table, because it's a good way to look at our underlying numbers. This doesn't include all our offside chances, but if you go on to, I think, Understat and you look at XG generated this season, we are first. We are first for XG generated, but we're not first for goals. We need to be more clinical. Look at this. This is what I mean. Man United, who are fifth in the league, have created the highest XG of 44.42. But we haven't scored the most goals. Arsenal, we've got 38 goals. Arsenal got 40. City got 45. Yeah, we're not, and obviously our defence has let us down. We've only got 6 goal difference. Expected points, we're third. Expected points, Man United should be third apparently. So that my only confidence in this is, I'm like, with 1 game a week, Man United's expected points say we should be around third. Maybe we end the season better because I think the reason we're not in third is because of the defensive setup under Amorim. Even though we played 5 at the back under Amorim, he left the midfield wide open. If you look at how compact the midfield was versus Man City, they did not have 1 shot on target. Not 1 shot on target. They have Cherki, they have Semenyo, they have Doku, they have Haaland, not 1 shot on target. Michael Carrick compacted that midfield. If you noticed, Ahmad and Dorgu out of possession came in really narrow. It was a 4-4-2 out of possession with Ahmad and Dorgu coming in super narrow. Michael Carrick compacted that midfield. City couldn't run through us. I genuinely think what's let us down this season is because we are conceding ridiculous amounts of goals. XG against, we're nearer the top here. Well, not we're 5th, but he needs to stop conceding silly goals. I think if Michael Carrick can sort out of possession structure, I think we have the quality to create chances, which we've proven this season with the highest XG. I think the biggest problem was, even though Ruben Amorim had a million defenders on the pitch, we could just be rammed through the midfield. And I think that's one thing I liked that Carrick did well versus City. 5 at the back with a massive hole in midfield. We'd actually looked defensively better before at the back because we didn't have a big hole in midfield. But look, it's 1 game. But defending is a structural thing, I agree. It's not how many defenders you got, it's how compact you are. Anyway, let's talk about the midfield news. Let's talk about Jimmy Garner. Let's talk about Wilfred and Didi. Would you have taken Gallagher? We don't need Gallagher. If we had Amorim, I would have taken Gallagher because Amorim's not going to play Maino. And Gallagher's such an Amorim-coded player. But Amorim's gone now, so there's literally no point of getting Gallagher. That's how I feel about that news. So, Manchester United have discussed Wilfred and Didi. Was said by Alex Crook. Yep. Manchester United have held talks about signing Wilfred and Didi. The player is anxious to return to England. We can do better than a Didi. We can do so much better than a Didi. João Gomez is available. Yeah? Mark Casado of Barcelona is better than Ndidi. James Garner is better than Ndidi. James Garner, Mark Casado, João Gomez are all better options than Ndidi. So, thank you very much, Man United. Thank you for looking at a midfielder. But why are we looking at midfielders that aren't really going to help us or improve us in any kind of way? An Ndidi Casemiro midfield is horrible. I'm sorry, I liked Ndidi. I liked him 5-6 years ago. I've not liked him the last 2-3 seasons because the Premier League has changed. Look, again, I'm not saying that Casado is the answer. I agree. Mark Casado, first couple months under Hansi Flick, fantastic. Fantastic last season, for the beginning of last season, fantastic under Hansi Flick. Then he's not been great for Real Madrid, he's not been great for Barcelona lately, but they have Pedri and De Jong. You ain't going to beat Pedri and De Jong. Casado's got very good technical attributes. He's captain Barcelona every youth age, and physically he's all right for his size. I do wonder if he'd get swallowed up in the Premier League, but he's technically good. I'm not saying that we need Casado or Casado's amazing, but if you got an option of Ndidi and Casado, you look at Casado, you look at his age, you look at his potential, You look at what he did in the first few months under Hansi Flick and went, wow, he was fantastic for Barcelona, and he's just dropped off. You go Casado over and Ndidi. Now, I'm not even the biggest fan of Casado, but we've got to have higher signings. Ruben Neves makes more sense than Ndidi. And I think we need a Casemiro cover more than we need Maino cover, because I think Agate plays better next to Casemiro than instead of Casemiro. But I just think it's the standards of signings of this club. It's like, I mean, I'm sure Carrick will have a say, but Ndidi, come on. I agree with Fraser here. James Garner. Man United are conscious, considering a January midfield signing with Carrington meeting planned this week. Let's get James Garner in the discussion. We obviously spoke about his performance for Everton versus Villa, was a man of the match performance at the weekend. We also know he's one of the names United looked at. Take Goretzka out, and I like two of these names. And United are evaluating alternative options this January if they decide to move for a midfielder. Names being looked at include James Garner. Would take that. Manu Kone would absolutely 1,000,000% take that. Leon Goretzka, no thank you. But as things stand, there's been no club-to-club negotiation. So this is said by Dean Jones Soccer a few weeks ago. We also know from Nathan Salt, who said last month that James Garner is one to watch as Manchester United consider bringing in a forward as part of midfield rebuild to January. Consider bringing forward part of a midfield rebuild to January. I misread that. I was like, why is he saying bringing in a forward? Bringing forward part of the midfield rebuild to January. Look, James Garner, Manu Kone, go and do it. Not Ndidi. Not Loftus-Cheek. James Garner, Manu Kone. Spend some effing money. Not these loan nonsense craps and Diddy and Loftus-Cheek. Spend some effing money. That's what I'm going to say. Spend it. James Garner is a guy that we like. James Garner could be about to sign a new contract at Everton. So why don't you go in there and go... Because, okay, we're waiting for Elliot Anderson in the summer. Amazing. I want Elliot Anderson. Elliot Anderson is flirting with Man City. Elliot Anderson is practically begging Man City. And Man City are going to go all out for Elliot Anderson, because I don't know if you watched Rodri's game versus Bodo Glimt, but there's no way that Man City aren't going to offer Elliot Anderson £300 a week. Man City are going to offer Elliot Anderson the most high wages in the world, so he goes to them. You just know it. Man City are going to sign 2 elite midfielders. They're going to offer them ridiculous money, which is annoying because they got 115 charges over them, and they're still going out and spending money. They spent 500 million in the last year, and they're still going out and spending money. But Man City are going to go all out for Elliot Anderson. I've watched Man City's midfield the last 2 games. There's no way they don't offer Elliot Anderson something like £300 a week, which we won't offer him. There's a 90% chance Elliot Anderson chooses Man City over us, which sucks, because I want Elliot Anderson. I'd love Elliot Anderson. So go and put 15-20 million on James Garner this January, because you're probably not going to get Anderson. And if we get Anderson in the summer, great, because they can play together. If we don't get Anderson in the summer, it's not the end of the world. We've got James Garner, and we can look at Baleba and Wharton. We will get one of Baleba, Wharton, and Anderson in the summer. I think it will be Baleba who's been the most out of form. But we also need about 3 midfielders. I don't think we're going to get 2 of Anderson, Baleba, Wharton. I think it's just going to be Baleba. So you might as well get James Garner in, and then you look at a more progressive style box-to-box player later in the window. I feel like you might as well go for it. Garner would help this window. He would help. This is a player that knows Man United, has that Man United DNA, that Carrick knows, that will help Manchester United, that the next Man United manager would want anyway. It also means we have to sign 3 midfielders in the summer, so we might as well sign 1 in January. It's not like signing James Garner for 15-20 million will stop us getting Elliot Anderson. We're probably not going to get him anyway. And I saw a Rising Gem say this. Signing high-profile midfielders like Baleba, Wharton, or Elliot Anderson won't be possible this January window, and it's clear that Ineos is focused on signing talent with a long-term future at the club. In my opinion, pivoting towards someone like James Garner, whose contract at Everton expires this summer, so it's much cheaper, or looking at Mark Casado on a loan-to-buy basis would be a smart move. I agree. Both are young, hungry, and could develop into excellent squad rotation players for years ahead, and we would still be able to bring in a high-profile midfielder in the summer. This. Ineos, if you are watching, which you're probably not, this. No Ndidi, no Loftus-Cheek rubbish, 15-20 million midfielder, loan to buy option. High the standards a bit. We're not Stoke. We're Manchester United. How many times have we had to say in the last, 15 years, we're Manchester United? We're Manchester. Every time we do a decision, we're Manchester United. What is this? What? Honestly, Oh, chair's gone back there. We're Manchester United. It's ridiculous. Garner can become a Fletcher type, reliable when called upon, academy player. You know, nuts. Honestly, shut up and get Hayden Hackney, please get him. I like Hayden Hackney. He's more of a box to box, but we're going to talk about him in a second. I think we need a DM. I think we need a player that's going to play in Casemiro's role more than a player that plays in Maino's role, purely because I believe Agate is 10 times better when he plays next to Casemiro. Agate, when he plays with Maino or Bruno, not great. Agate, when he plays with Casemiro, I think is better because Agate can then act as an 8 when he plays with Casemiro, and Agate is better as an 8 than a 6 because Agate, as a 6 in the Premier League, he's a pressing trigger and people just, and it's easy. Agate as an 8, he can win the ball back high. So I would rather we get a number 6. However, like a Garner, for example, a Casado, for example. I'd rather we get a number 6, but I'm not against Hayden Hackney, and we're going to talk about him in a second. Loftus-Cheek is a good player, doesn't threaten Kobe or Kone. He's average, he's injury prone, and he's not the profile we need. I just don't want it. Like, I think there's no point. Kobe's miles better. We were linked to Arnautovic a few years ago, and those execs fought with Stoke. I remember that. I think the only reason we didn't get him was because he was racist or something. Was it Arnautovic? Arnautovic. Who was the player that was really average, and we were literally going to get him, and then everyone was like, "Oh, he's a racist," and they're like, "Oh, we probably shouldn't do that." I think it was Arnautovic. Where he made like loads of racist comments, and that was the only reason we didn't get him, is because they knew there'd be outrage. Because I think it was someone that we almost signed, and they were like, "Oh no, he's made all these bad comments in the past, so we won't sign him." It was only because of PR, which is nuts. I have a theory they don't want to sign anything in January and are spinning us by being linked to crap midfielders, so we say nothing's better, and we're getting linked. Nothing better, we're getting linked to. I agree. I think they're throwing Rubus, Loftus-Cheek and Ndidi around, so we're just like, no. Like, I want a midfielder. I don't want Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I don't want Ndidi. I want a midfielder that's half decent. João Gomez, Mark Casado, who, again, I have concerns around, but he's, there's potential there. James Garner. Maybe you look at Hayden Hackney. Do you know what I mean? I don't want a crap midfielder, but I think you're right, Emmanuel. Let's link us to Ruben Loftus-Cheek or this player and this player, and fans will be outraged. Who's racist? I don't know if it was racism. I don't know what it was, but I think, and it might be a different player, so I don't want to say it was definitely him, but I feel like it was Arnautovic. There was a player that we looked at signing, and I think it was Arnautovic, but it might not be, so don't believe me on that. And he said something controversial. I don't know if it was racist, I don't know if it's homophobic, but I think that's what stopped Manchester United actually going for it. I think that's what stopped Man United actually making a move. I don't know what it was. It might have been nothing. But I think that's what stopped Man United moving for I think it was Arnautovic. But again, I don't know. I remember he said something that someone didn't like. I can't remember if it was racist. I can't remember if it was homophobic, and he apologised for it. And I think that's what stopped Man United going for him. But I don't know what it was. I honestly can't remember, and I can't remember if it was him. So I just want to clarify. I don't know if it was Arnautovic, in case it wasn't, because I don't want to get in trouble. But yeah, don't we have a buyback for Garner? We don't have a buyback, but we have a sell-on clause. So if Everton, I think we have like a 20% sell-on clause or 15% sell-on clause, which meant if Everton sold Garner for 25 million and we've got a 25% sell-on clause, we have a 20% sell-on clause, we get 5 million of that. So they only make 20 million to the 25 million for Garner, which gives us an advantage. So let's say Everton want 25 million for Garner, because we've got a 20% sell-on clause, well, we'll just say we'll have them for 20 million, because you would have lost the 5 million in the sell-on clause if you sold them for 25. So maybe that's the advantage we have. I remember Arnautovic being stopped by Alaba during an Austria game against Albania for doing something. Yeah, I'll have to read up on that. Do you think Palace are falling apart? I think Palace are falling. Mateta's asked to leave Palace. Gay's left. Glasner keeps losing. Palace are falling apart. Who plays Palace? Who plays Palace this weekend? Just thinking for FPL, I got Dean Anderson in my team. I should probably take him out. They got Chelsea play Palace. I mean, Palace like to turn it up against Chelsea, but Palace just look a mess. I don't bring Cole Palmer into FPL. Just thinking if I could bring anyone into my FPL team for Chelsea, for Palace. They look weak, but probably not. Yeah, but let's talk about Hayden Hackney. So obviously we've had a few conversations around Hayden Hackney. Should Man United look at Hayden Hackney? Should Man United go for Hayden Hackney? La 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 la. And look, he's a box to box. We need more of a 6. But I think there's potentially a player in Hayden Hackney. As we mentioned, we need 3 midfielders. Why don't we get the 1 midfielder and then get the 2 big ones in the summer? We need 3 midfielders, 1 smaller one, 2 big ones. Why don't we get the smaller one now, but the smaller one's pretty decent, and get the 2 big ones in the summer? You know, that's my mindset on it. And I think Hayden Hackney with Michael Carrick coming in is one to consider. Now, you could say that he'd be competing with Maino, we need someone to compete with Casemiro. True. Now, the thing with Hayden Hackney is we've not really been linked to him since before summer. Like, we were linked to him in March of 2025, which is not 10 months ago. Manchester United scouted Middlesbrough midfielder Hayden Hackney. We kept an eye on him in 2025. We have not had a credible link to Hayden Hackney since, I think, July. I think if we go and actually look at Hayden Hackney links, let me have a look. I'm trying to find something credible. June. The last time we had a credible link to Hayden Hackney was June 2025, which was Rich Fay saying that we're keeping an eye on Hayden Hackney. We've been linked to him in 2024, and we were linked to Adam Wharton in 2024. We were linked to him in 2023. Craig Hope linked us to Hayden Hackney in 2023. The Muppeteers linked us to Hayden Hackney in 2024. Rich Fay and the Mail linked us to Hayden Hackney in 2025. But there hasn't been anything credible in regards to Hackney. Plenty of Championship players do well in the PL, but Hackney would have to be on cheap. Yeah. Look, I don't know if Hackney comes in and is good enough for Man United. Do you know? I don't. But I think Hackney's a Premier League player. The thing with Hackney is I don't know if he's a Crystal Palace player or a Man United player. He's a Premier League player, but we don't know how good he could be. And I think he's probably a mid-table Premier League player rather than top Premier League player. But it's something to explore if he's available for good money. You know, Burrows sold Rodgers to Villa in January. You know, and look how good Rodgers did. Blackburn sold Wharton to Palace in January. Look how good Wharton did. If you look at Wharton and you look at Rodgers, both came from the Championship in January. They were key for their team. So you have to look at someone like Hayden Hackney and say, well, you don't know. You don't know. Like, he could be beneficial. Big up everybody in the chat. Big up to Gaz. Guys, what's happening with De Ligt? No idea. No idea. Man United keeping it hush-hush. Man United keeping it secret. I don't know what's happening with De Ligt. De Ligt and Xerxes are injured. All I know is De Ligt and Xerxes are injured. I don't know how long they're out for, when they'll be back. United are keeping it hush-hush. There is now claims that Cole Palmer wants to go back to Manchester. Again, I don't think it's going to be very credible, but it's one to keep an eye on. But listen, people, I'm going to wrap up today's live show here. Big up to everybody watching. I'll be back with a 10-minute roundup tonight, or if there's any breaking news, I'll be back before that. Let's hope that we actually do something. And when I say do something, not Loftus-Cheek or Ndidi, actually something good. Actually something that I'm like, wow, I get behind that. That's nice. But yeah, big up everyone tuning in. Thank you for watching. Bye.